What really happens to our bodies after the age of 80? This is a question so many people wonder about, but very few talk about openly, and yet the answer matters to every single one of us, because one day, it will matter to you or to someone you love and know. Let me ask you this: when you hear the words aging after 80, what comes to mind? Do you picture weakness or decline, or do you picture wisdom, resilience, and a whole new chapter of life? Because the truth is, aging is not something to fear, it is something to understand. And here is the hook that many people miss when you think about it this way: in spring, everything grows fast and wild. In summer, the days are long and full. In autumn, the pace slows, but the colors deepen. And winter holds quiet wisdom and strength that no other season can match. Aging after 80 is like that winter season. These things look different. Yes, there are changes, but there is also a depth and a richness that no other stage of life can give. And let's talk about one of the first changes that surprises many people after 80, and that is sleep. Have you ever noticed how older adults often go to bed earlier and wake up before the sun even rises? Maybe you or someone you know falls asleep quickly in the evening, only to wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning feeling restless. At first it feels frustrating, because for most of life a good night of rest meant 7 or 8 straight hours of sleep, but suddenly that long stretch is broken up, and the body wakes up more often in the night. This is not failure, this is simply the body shifting its internal clock. Your circadian rhythm, which is like your built-in timekeeper, begins to change after 80. The body also produces less melatonin, which is the hormone that helps you stay asleep, so the sleep becomes lighter and shorter. Here is something that might surprise you. After the age of 80, the human body is still incredibly adaptable. As it changes, yes, it slows down in certain ways, but it still responds when you give it cream. That is powerful, because it means that even now you have influence over your health, your independence, and your happiness. Let me ask you a question right now. Have you ever believed that after 80, there's nothing you can do to improve your body? If your answer is yes, then keep listening, because I am about to show you why that is not true. And if your answer is no, then stay with me, because what I share next will strengthen your belief that every stage of life holds potential. Think about this: bones may lose density, joints may stiffen, digestion may slow, but none of these changes mean you are finished. These simply mean you need to adjust, and every time you adjust, you win back a piece of independence, a piece of freedom, and a piece of joy. Asterisk. Take the example of a woman who loved gardening for years. She spent hours kneeling, pulling weeds, planting flowers, but once she entered her mid-80s, her knees no longer allowed her to kneel comfortably. At first, she thought she would have to give up the hobby that brought her so much happiness, but instead she adapted. She started using raised planters and garden chairs, still touched the soil, still grew her favorite roses and vegetables, but she did it in a way that honored her body. That one change allowed her to continue a passion that gave her purpose. And let me bring this back to you. What passion lights you up? Is it gardening, cooking, painting, reading, or maybe walking in the park? I want you to take a moment and imagine how you can adapt that passion if your body asks you to, because when you learn to adapt, instead of giving up, you discover new ways to thrive. Here is another example. A man who always enjoyed heavy steak dinners reached his early 80s and found that big meals made him sluggish and uncomfortable. At first he thought meals would never be the same again, but he chose to adjust, switched to smaller portions and lighter meals, discovered new recipes, soups and stews that felt good on his stomach. And do you know what happened? Ed not only felt better physically, but also began to enjoy meals again in a whole new way. That is the power of adapting. But here is the part no one tells you: this does not mean you cannot get good rest. It just means you need to rest differently, and the people who learn this early are the ones who continue to wake up feeling refreshed and ready for the day. Take this example: imagine a woman in her mid-80s saw her life. She prided herself on being able to sleep 8 hours without waking once, but then the changes came, and she started waking up 3 or 4 times a night. At first she felt upset. She thought something was wrong, but instead of fighting her body, she decided to work with it. She created a calming bedtime routine. She dimmed the lights earlier in the evening. She read gentle books before bed. She enjoyed a warm cup of caffeine-free tea. Even though her sleep was lighter, she still woke up with energy. This is the secret: when you stop resisting and start adapting, your body responds in the best way it can, and you keep your strength. Here Is a question for you watching right now. How many hours of sleep do you usually get? Type your answer in the comments below, because I want to see how your routine compares with others in our community. You may be surprised to find out how many people share the same challenges, but sleep is just one change, another shift that comes after 80 is bone density. No, when I say bone density, I want you to picture this. When you were younger, your bones were like thick, sturdy branches on a tree, strong, firm, and ready to take pressure. But as time passes, those branches naturally thin. They are still there, they still support the tree, but they are more fragile. This is exactly what happens inside your body. The bones slowly lose thickness and strength over the decade sand. By the time you reach 80, they may not handle pressure the way they once did. That is why falls become more dangerous at this age. That is why posture changes. And you may notice that someone who once stood tall now seems a little shorter, or has a slight curve in the back. But please listen closely. This does not mean life after 80 is filled with fear of falling or fear of breaking a bone. It means you now know the rules of the game, and you can play smart, and when you play smart you win. Here are a few simple steps that make a big difference even after 80. Eat foods rich in calcium and vitamins. Stay lightly active with walks, gentle weight-bearing exercises, or even carrying light hand weights while watching to keep your muscles strong so they continue to support your bones. And most importantly, keep moving, because bones and muscles are like teammates. When one weakens, the other can step in and help you. Once knew an 84-year-old woman who refused to give up on her bonish, kept a small set of hand weights next to her chair every time she watched her favorite show. She lifted those weights, not heavy, not extreme, but just enough to remind her body, I am still here, and I am still strong. That little routine gave her confidence to keep walking, keep shopping, and keep living on her terms. So when you think about bones, do not think of weakness, think of opportunity. An opportunity to give your body what it needs, an opportunity to protect your independence. Now let's pause here and add a hook. If you are still watching this video right now, type the number 2 in the comments. That lets me know you are here and that you care about your health and your future, and it also shows me that you are part of this community of strong, resilient people who refuse to let age define them. Now let us move to the third shift that often surprises people after 80, and that is digestion. The digestive system begins to slow down. The stomach produces less acid. The muscles of the intestines move food more slowly. Meals that once felt easy suddenly feel heavy or uncomfortable. Bloating, sluggishness, even constipation become more common. But once again, this is not the end of joy around food. It is simply a reminder to adapt. Instead of large, heavy meals, lighter, smaller meals spread through the day may feel better. Instead of fast food or processed meals, the body now asks for gentler foods: oatmeal, cooked vegetables, soups, fruits, high in fiber. And one more thing, hydration becomes more important than ever, because as we age, the natural sense of thirst weakens. You may not feel thirsty, but your body still needs the water. So sipping throughout the day and adding water-rich foods like oranges, melons, and cucumbers keeps everything moving. Now think about this: food is not just nutrition, it is connection. Meals with friends or family keep appetite alive and bring joy. So even if digestion slows, the emotional nourishment of eating together remains just as important as the vitamins and minerals. And here is where I want to speak to you directly. If you are watching this video and you sometimes struggle with digestion, I want you to know this: you are not alone. So many people over 80 experience the same thing, but with small changes, with gentle adjustments, you can still enjoy your meals and stay nourished. And here is a little challenge for you tonight. Try adding 1 extra glass of water to your evening routine and notice how you feel tomorrow. Sometimes one simple shift can make a world of difference. Now here's a hook for you watching right now. What food gives you comfort? Type it in the comments, because I want to know what meals bring you joy. Even knowing, who knows, maybe someone else in this community will share the same favorite food and you will make a new connection. But the point is, this every adjustment is proof that aging is not the end. It is simply a new chapter. It is proof that you still have choices, and those choices shape the quality of your life. And let us talk about movement, because this is a big one. After 80, joints often feel stiff and bones more fragile. Daily tasks like carrying groceries, climbing stairs, or bending to pick something up may feel harder, and the first temptation is to stop moving altogether. But here is the truth: less you move, the harder it gets. More you move, even gently, the easier it becomes. Messy Want you to picture this to a man both 85 years old and decides that his joints hurt too much. So he spends most of his day sitting. Thother decides to walk around the block once a day even if it is slow after 6 months. The difference is massive. If man who stopped moving finds his legs weak, his balance unsteady, his independence slipping away. Man who kept walking finds that he can still get around safely. His legs are stronger and his confidence is intact. So here is my challenge to you. If you are able tomorrow, take a 5-minute walk. It does not matter how slow, it does not matter how far, just 5 minutes. And if walking is difficult, try gentle stretches while seated. Point is movement in any form is medicine for your body. I know. I want to hear from you. What type of movement do you enjoy most? Is it walking, swimming, stretching, maybe dancing? Type it below and let us see how many creative ways this community has found to stay active after 80. And here's the part many people forget. Movement is not just about physical health. It is about emotional strength too. When you move, your body releases energy and lifts your mood. You feel lighter, clearer, and more capably, and that mindset carries into every other part of life. Let us shift to another important truth. Aging after 80 is not about restriction. It is about partnership or tariffs with your body, partnership with your mind, and partnership with the wisdom you have gained across your years. Think about how many challenges you have already overcome in your life: illness, loss, setbacks, changes in family, work, and community, and yet you adapted every single time. We should this stage of life be any different? It is simply another opportunity to listen. Here is where I want you to stay with me, because this is the heart of the message. Aging is not about chasing youth. It is about embracing longevity. It is about looking at your 80s and beyond, not with fear, but with gratitude. A gratitude that you are here, gratitude that you have this day, and gratitude that you can still make choices that support your life. And here is another hook. If you are grateful to be alive today, even with the changes your body may face, I want you to type the word grateful in the comments below. Saying it out loud or typing it in helps anchor that mindset. And once you live with gratitude, everything feels lighter. No, let us end this discussion. So as the body changes size, it sometimes slows down, but you are not powerless. You have more influence than you think. You can adapt your routines, your meals, your movement, your rest, and still create days filled with energy, joy, and purpose. And perhaps the greatest gift of all is this: aging invites us to slow down and savor life. It gives us the freedom to notice the small moments that are often missed when we are younger. A quiet morning with a cup of tea, a conversation with family or friends, the joy of finishing a book or planting a flower. These are not small things. These are the treasures of life after 80. So remember, the sire journey is not over. It is evolving. Your body is not failing you. It is guiding you, and every time you listen, every time you adapt, you grow stronger in spirit. Life after 80 is not about losing. It is about living differently. It is about carrying wisdom, grace, and resilience into each day. And if you choose to embrace that mindset, you will discover that this chapter can be one of the most meaningful of all.